So, what does it look like to become unshakable in your overall health and weight loss journey? What does that look like? What does it look like to master that journey and to be unshakable? Well, today, on today's video for Warrior Wednesday Wellsprings, that's exactly what we're talking about today. Yes, that is what I'm calling this new series, Warrior Wednesday Wellsprings, because it's going to be a wellspring of wisdom for you. And so these videos are actually going to drop every Wednesday. And I look forward to hearing from all of you, the feedback on all of it, and all the things. So let's dive into this today. What does it look like? How do you become unshakable in your overall health and weight loss journey? What does that even look like? Well, to kind of lead you through the process and how that happens, I have created what I like to call the from knowing it to unshakable ladder. There's 5 levels to this ladder, 5 steps. So you go from knowing all the way up the ladder to unshakable. So let's begin at the bottom. Let's begin with the knowing. All right. Knowing is literally where we start. This is where I start with each and every one of my clients is the knowing. It's where I literally dismantle the mirage that's been built in front of them by the food industry, by big food. I tear down all of the mirages, all of the illusions of healthiness, all of it. And I show not only the deception and the lies, but then I empower each one of my clients with the truth and what the reality is. So then it gives them a strong and firm foundation to move forward on so that we can then begin rebuilding a new, legitimately healthy, sustainable foundation. Because, yeah, I've had plenty of people that come through my world and they come through my flagship boot camp, my level 1 boot camp. That is my flagship. I've had multiple people come through that boot camp and come out the other end literally standing on a foundation that they are never going to be moved from again. It doesn't matter what the industry throws at them, they're not moving. That's my guarantee. I love it. But the knowing part is where we start. I've got to strip away all the lies. I've got to strip away everything the industry has thrown at you, the patterns that have kept you stuck. I've got to strip it all away so that we can begin rewiring and we can begin rebuilding on a new sustainable foundation that's actually built on real truth, real nutrition, real food, right? So that's where we start. All right. After we do all that, I just take the mirage down, I rip the veil into all of that. After I do that, we graduate to the next stage, the doing. In the doing stage, this is where courage steps in and excuses step out. So now that we've built a solid foundation based on truth, real nutrition, real food, and having that be sustainable, now we get to start doing. We get to start putting things in place in the system and your daily way of doing this. This is where I train you to build micro wins, non-negotiables, protein first structure, empowered choices, the 90-10 rule. It's also a big framework that I use, not as rules though, but as ownership practices. Let me repeat that. Not as rules, but as ownership practices. Okay. Because the reason why my brand is Mastery Weight Loss is because it's got to be about mastery moving forward. You get to own the journey, right? It's not about a or the perfect plan. Why? Because you become the plan. That's the difference here. All right. So then once we get into the doing and we kind of establish that, now we graduate into the deeper levels. So we've got 3 more levels to go. Now we graduate into becoming. Ooh, this is where the deeper stuff begins. This is where it all begins to sink in. It all begins to become part of who you are. It all begins to be so sustainable that it becomes automatic over time. In this becoming process, we're also embracing time as our friend. Time is not our enemy, time is our friend. It's kind of like a lot of people when they go to lose weight, what basically happens, to give you an illustration, is they take a lawnmower, they mow over the weeds, and then they plant a beautiful garden. So the beautiful garden represents the beautiful body that they end up with. However, because they just mowed over the weeds, yeah, those weeds come back and eventually the garden gets choked out and they've gained all the weight back and oftentimes more. So time is actually your weed killer, right? That's why we bring in the sustainability part of it and all that. It's got to be sustainable for long haul. So this is the becoming process, allowing all of that to sink in and become part of who you are, change you up here, change you in here in regards to how you're looking at food, what things you're doing, and all that stuff. All right. So that's the becoming. 4th stage. Now we get even deeper. Now we're getting into the real deeper stuff. Now that we've got the becoming part down, you've been at the journey for enough time. Things are just sinking in. Things are becoming the normal. Now we come into mastery. That's the 4th aspect of this. Mastery, this is where it all becomes literally now part of who you are. So in the becoming part, we're working on that. Mastery part, when we graduate from becoming and learning about that concept and just letting that concept be and sink in, now we come into mastery. This is where it all becomes part of who you are legitimately. This is where the confidence begins to rise. This is where true ownership begins to settle in. Now, again, as you work with me over time, you go through these stages and these steps, and you eventually end up in the unshakable category, or you end up between the mastering and unshakable. But this is where true ownership settles in. This is a really important part of the process, is mastering that process, owning it, embracing every part that the journey has to offer you, which includes embracing the weak moments. It includes embracing the times where you fall off the horse. It includes embracing the challenges that might come. And those challenges will come because this journey, this road to mastery, it's not necessarily a road full of pink bunnies and roses and all kinds of weird, strange colored creatures that are found in a wonderland. No, the road is going to sometimes be full of potholes and nails and glass and all kinds of stuff, muddy puddles that you get stuck in, and now you're all wet and muddy. And yeah, that's reality. But when you're at the mastery stage of that, you are using all of those times as leverage to grow, to get wiser, to get stronger, to get better. That's the mastering part of your journey. You're owning it. It's not about start, stop, start, stop. It's not about pausing in your journey. And it's especially not about resetting. Oops, I had a bad week. This happened and that happened and this happened. I'm just going to reset on Monday. No, no, no. That is the wrong way of thinking. No reset. You are continuing. That makes sense? You catching on me? Catching what I'm throwing down here? All right. Last stage. The final stage. And by me saying final stage, I'm not saying that there's a destination, because I'm going to be really honest with you. You're going to lose the weight. And once you lose that weight, the learning and the growing does not stop there. This is a continual journey. I have kept my weight off for 7+ years now, but my growing, my adaptations, things that I'm adding in has not stopped. I'm constantly learning new things and adapting my own eating pattern, my own nutrition, my own lifestyle according to those new things that I learn. Right? So, anyhow, just prefacing that unshakable stage. This is the stage where you have been through all the other stages and you've become grounded in the sustainable routine that you've built for yourself. And so much so, when you get to this stage, unshakable, you have come too far to even have there be a thought of going back to normal. Come too far. That's not an option. There's too many milestones you've hit. There's too many things that have happened that are great in your journey. Too many wins. Too much transformation has happened. This is the unshakable part where you literally get to this stage. There's not even a thought in your mind. You are so grateful for how far you've come. Basically, what happens at this stage is you're no longer going to be tempted with old habits or old ways or anything like that. That's no longer going to happen because you have now embraced the becoming, the mastery, and you have become unshakable through sustainability, through time, through embracing the journey, through becoming all of that. So those are the 5 stages of going from the very beginning, knowing, all the way up the ladder to unshakable. That's what it looks like. That's what it means when I speak of mastery. That is the quality, that is the level and deepness that I'm speaking of. Is you embrace the journey, the sustainable journey, so much so that you eventually reach the stage of being unshakable. Nothing's going to shake you from that ground that you're standing on. So that's how you do it. That's exactly what it looks like. So with that, before I end this video, there's a couple things that I want to mention here. So number 1, be sure to click the subscribe button if you haven't already done that. Number 2, click the like button. Number 3, what I want you to do is share this out. If you are thinking of somebody that's like, wow, this person just needs to hear from Ken. This person needs to hear this video. This is so good. This is so amazing. Share it out. Share it in your socials. Let it serve somebody, right? And the other thing that I'll mention here as well is this going from knowing to unshakable. That is a journey that honors God. That's a journey that honors the stewardship that God calls us to with our bodies, with our health, with our nutrition. That's why I built this ladder, because this is what it looks like. And so this honors God. So especially if you are a Christian entrepreneur listening to this and you know that there are people in your audience that need to hear this, this is how it looks. This is how the real journey is supposed to be. Share this video out. All right. Lastly, below this video in the description are going to be some links to get into my world. And one of them will be a link to join my mini educational boot camp. It's a foundation that we build through that boot camp. It's not a workout plan. It's not an eating plan. It is a foundation that we build. So there will be a link below to join that mini educational boot camp. It is extremely reasonably priced. And I do that because I want it to be affordable. I want it to be at a price point to where you don't even have to ask your spouse if you can spend the money. Because I know, like, for example, women, I know you guys, you go out and buy a whole new outfit. It's often going to cost you like around $200 for all the things. Guys, guess what? We got the I whatever you call those headphone accessories. We've got gym stuff. We've got outdoor stuff that we spend hundreds of dollars on. We've got toys and all this other stuff. And we often get those things without asking our spouse as well. And so that is why my boot camp is priced at right now, until I raise it again, $197. Okay. And you get 3 one-on-one sessions with me. You got nothing to lose but those extra pounds, guys. You got everything to gain in the right way. With that, have a great rest of your day or evening, depending on where you are in the world and what time of day you are listening. And I will catch you on the next Warrior Wednesday Wellsprings. Talk to you guys later.